Hey everyone, it's Nate. Today I'm going to show you the fastest way to get out of debt. Let's get it. Welcome back everyone. My name is Nate and I'm here to help you master your money. So today's video is about a topic that I think at some point in our lives we have all had questions about, and that is how to get out of debt. And better yet, what is the best, most efficient way to approach getting out of debt? Fortunately for you guys, there is a simple, clear-cut path to make this happen, and I'm going to show it to you guys in today's video. Now, when I say simple, that does not imply easy, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to break things down so that you have no question as to what you need to start on and what you need to do to start attacking your debt. So today, in addition to learning how to tackle our debt the best way, we're also going to learn how to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel. That will be very awesome. Thanks, guys. But before we get too far, it's time for coffee, guys. So now that those shenanigans are out of the way, let's get into the bulk of the video. So step one is going to be to know your debt. Now I know it's very easy when you have debt and when you're fighting against that you don't want to look at it, you don't want to see it, you don't want to see the numbers that you're fighting against. And that's totally understandable. I get it. It can be really daunting to see all that and to not have a clear picture forward and just to see that huge number that's hanging over you. But today we're going to need to go ahead and look at those things in order to best know how to attack this problem. So when I say know your debt, this is what you're going to need to know. You're going to want to know how much you owe on the debt. You're going to want to know the interest rate on the debt. And you're going to want to know how many more payment terms or months you have left on paying this off. Now that you have these numbers in your hand, you want to take a look at each and every one and understand the impact of what it's going to look like for you paying for this car you got for the next 7 years, or paying for this degree that you didn't finish, or that you got and completed, but it was an underwater basket weaving degree, and that's useless. And now you're left paying on that for the next 10 years. Now, if that's what you really want to do and you're passionate about that, I'm sorry for my little rant. Now, I know there's no such thing as an underwater basket weaving degree. That's ridiculous. But what I am saying is that getting a degree is like investing. You put your time and your money and your effort to growing something and to getting this thing that can help you make more money in the future. It's an investment. So the way I view college degrees and the way I see a lot of other people view college degrees is that it's an investment. And if you get into debt for the purpose of getting a degree that can make you more money, it can get you a better job and provide a better life for your family, absolutely go for it. But this is one of those things that's a calculated risk and it can really pay off. But if you're just gonna go for the college experience and go find yourself and you truly value that's what you want to do and that makes you happy, that's great, but understand and know that college is freaking expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. And so if you're gonna go ahead and do this, just understand the costs before you go and don't get out of college and then say, oh, my debt's someone else's fault now. So now that I'm off my soapbox about that specific thing, let me continue on with what I'm saying. So like I've mentioned previously, understanding what you're facing and knowing the different pieces of what you have to accomplish to complete the goal, whatever it is vital to being able to accomplish it. So in terms of getting out of debt, the best thing you can do is to understand everything about the debts that you have and know a step forward on how to take care of those. All right, so now we've gotten through some of the hard stuff and we've looked at all the debt we've incurred, all the mistakes we've made. We're gonna start on the plan on how to fix it. But before we get to that, we need to go over one prerequisite first. Step 2 is gonna be something that I've said previously several times, and that is going to be to cut back your expenses. Now, when I say this, I don't mean just to cut back everything and go live in a hut in the woods, but no. What I mean is reasonably find ways to cut back on the money you spend every month on things that aren't necessities. So there's a pretty easy ways to start cutting back on expenses is going to be doing things like making coffee at home instead of buying coffee at a coffee shop, or making food at home instead of going to a restaurant every day. Or, this is one of my favorites too, using credit card points to pay for hotels, to pay for flights, and to pay for other experiences for free because credit card points can do that. I'll link in the description a video on how you can do that, and it'll be up somewhere here too on the video screen. But you can use these 3 little tricks and you can save hundreds or even thousands of dollars every month just by cutting back a little bit. And so I say these things not to take the fun away from life, because you know what? Sometimes it's fun to just go get a little coffee. But for real, what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to tackling your debt, every cent that you can get to work in your favor in this is going to be hugely helpful. And in all seriousness, every cent counts. So moving on to step 3, this is gonna be an interactive one, so get ready to do some number stuff. What you're gonna wanna do is click the link in the description under step 3, and you're gonna want to open this in a new tab and follow along with what I'm doing. So here in this screen, you're gonna want to enter all the debts that you have individually. So you want to list the total amount you currently owe, as well as the interest rate and how long you have to pay on that till. And so once you have all that entered in, now you're gonna want to take the money that you saved during step 2 and apply that in the additional payments box. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking the money that you saved by not going out to restaurants or going traveling on lavish vacations that you could use credit card points for, and doing all these extra things. You're cutting back on these non-essential expenses and you're putting those resources right towards paying off your debt. So if you want to shift your mindset on this real quick, we can think about it like an investment. So say that the debt you have to pay off is credit card debt. Well, typically credit cards have about a 20 to 25% interest rate on them, that's massive, that is huge. And so if you can find a way to get a 25% return on your money somewhere by investing, let me know, because I'm trying to find out. So if you just like comment that below and like let me know, because I'm seriously inquiring about this. If you find a 25% ROI investment, let me know. But seriously, if you think about paying down your debt like an investment, and look at it this way, in the light that when I pay down my debt, what I'm doing is essentially getting a percentage return that is equivalent to the interest rate that I have on it. Meaning I don't have to pay 25 or 15 or 9% interest or whatever it may be on this, because I paid this now and I'm paying it early. Essentially what you're doing is you're giving yourself a 9 or 15 or 25% return on the money you're putting in, because you're not paying the interest on that. You see what I'm doing there? It's kind of a interesting thought on that, but essentially that's what you're doing. Okay, so now that you've put all this information into the calculator and we kind of understand what's going on here, and we see the big picture, and we see that we're gonna be putting extra money towards our debts every month to pay them down quicker. And here's why that works. So when you have debt, one of the biggest hurdles is going to be the interest rate. So this can vary from loan to loan, but with credit cards, like I mentioned a little while ago, that can be 20 to 25%, somewhere in there. Whereas home loans, which I actually personally consider not bad debt, this is gonna be probably around the 4 to 5% range, depending on what you got your loan at. And so now that we understand the interest rate is important, here is why it's important. When you have a debt, and let's say your balance of your debt is $10,000, and applied to it is a 25% annual interest rate. What this means is at the end of the year, if you don't pay anything on it, you're gonna have a $12,500 debt. And that's a crazy huge amount of interest to have accrue on something, have that grow like that. And so what you can do to fight this is to pay more than the minimum payment on your loans. And when you're doing this, you're decreasing the principal amount that you borrowed, or in other terms, you decrease the amount of money that you essentially have in the account. And so when there's less money in that account for the interest to be applied to, that means you'll have less debt to pay off in the long term. And let's say you have the same $10,000 debt, but you applied an extra $2,000 of payments toward it during the year, and you decrease the total amount that you owe to $8,000. At the end of the year, only $2,000 interest would be applied to this. Now, these aren't exact numbers, and this is an approximation, but when you make extra payments on your debts, you will pay them off quicker. I guarantee you that. If you make payments above what you're supposed to, I guarantee you will pay the debt off quicker. You will. That's how that works. But an additional step we can take to help pay these things off quicker, and that is going to be step 4, which is going to be to refinance your debts. So I know that interest rates right now are an incredible low, and this is a great time to refinance your house. If you haven't done so already, you really can get some really solid rates. Like you can get as low as like 2% to refinance your house, which is insanely low. It's just crazy low. And so I would really recommend doing this if your interest rate for your house is above 5%. This could save you thousands of dollars over the course of your mortgage. So let's say you don't have a mortgage, but you do have a car note, and the interest rate on that is 8 to 9%, somewhere in there. You could go ahead and refinance your car for a lower interest rate. So if you refinance your car and you go down to like 4 or 5% interest rate versus 9% interest rate, you're gonna save a lot of money on your monthly payment, and that's gonna enable you to pay off your debt faster. And so one trick with this is if you do refinance your car or house or whatever, and your payment, your minimum payment goes lower, continue paying at least the amount that you were previously. So say your mortgage before you refinance was $1,000, and then you refinance and it goes down to $750, continue paying $1,000, at least that. Continue paying that, and you'll pay off your debts and your mortgage and your house, whatever it is, incredibly quickly. And one last tip in this step here, and that is going to be if you have credit card debt, what you want to do is, if you can't pay it off like right now, if you can't pay it off all in one sitting, and you know it's going to take you a few months to do this, what I recommend you do is actually get what's called a balance transfer card. Now, I know it may sound counterintuitive to fight debt with another debt instrument, but this is actually worthwhile checking out. Balance transfer credit cards will charge you a one-time transfer fee, usually 1 to maybe 3% of whatever the balance of debt that you have is, but in turn you get very, very, very good perks for doing this. So there's a few balance transfer cards right now that I will link in the description with all the other good stuff, and these cards offer up to 2 years of interest-free financing, which means you will have a 0% interest rate for up to 2 years. Instead of your 25% interest rate, which is probably what you had roughly on your old card. If you have having trouble paying off a debt on a credit card and you can pay it off, you know you can pay it off within 2 years, get the balance transfer credit card, transfer the stuff over. It'll be worth the little small transfer fee, but you can go ahead and pay this off with no additional interest over the course of 2 years. This is really a super easy thing to do to save you a lot of headache, because if you don't take care of it quickly, credit card debt can expand and get crazy. So really, you want to nip this thing in the bud as quick as you possibly can. So go ahead and get the balance transfer card, and I'll link the best couple ones in the description below, so you can go ahead and do that today if you want to. Okay, so now we talked about how to understand your debt and how to move things around to work in your favor. Now we're going to talk about the creme de la creme, the best piece of this video, the best advice I can give you, and that is how to avalanche your debt, and the difference between avalanching your debt and snowballing your debt. There's a difference there, and in my opinion, the avalanche method is better. So you've probably heard the term snowballing your debt. This is a debt resolution method that was popularized by Dave Ramsey, and it's really super incredible. It's a really great method, and it has a long track record of success. So simply put, the way this method goes is that you make all the minimum payments on all of your debts, and you keep those in good standing. You don't want to damage your credit and all this. And then what you do is you take the debt that has the lowest total balance, so let's say it's $500, and you focus on that first. So you make all of the minimum payments, and then you put additional money, as much as you can, towards the smallest debt first. So once you go ahead and dealt with that small debt, you're going to want to take all the money you're putting towards that and start paying off the second smallest debt with it, in combination with the normal money you're already putting towards that one. So the really cool thing about this is that once you pay off a debt, you immediately take that money and you don't go spend it, but you focus those resources on the next debt and start paying that off quickly. This method is really great, and it's been used for a long time and with great success. But everything can be made a little better. And one of the best things about the snowball method is that it gives you a psychological boost whenever you pay off a debt. And that is a good feeling to have. It is. I'm not going to deny that. But I have one that's a teeny bit better. So the avalanche method is pretty similar in function to the snowball method. But what you do is, instead of focusing on the lowest balance first, the lowest balance debt first, you focus on the highest interest rate. So like I mentioned a little while ago, having a high interest rate can be really detrimental and really hard to tackle if it just gets out of hand. So the avalanche method takes this knowledge and applies it to your highest interest rate debt first, so that this very volatile thing can get dealt with in a very quick way. So what you do is you make all the minimum payments on everything that you owe money on, and then focus any extra resources on the highest interest debt, which typically is credit card debt. And then after that, it's going to be personal loans, and then car loans, and then student loans, and then mortgages. And kind of in that bracket, that's kind of how things descend from highest interest rate to lowest. And so this change of focus from the smallest balance to the highest interest rate is going to potentially save you thousands of dollars in interest, because you're attacking the thing that is damaging you the most first. So when you're tackling debt, it's incredibly important to be focused and to know what you're doing and be devoted to taking care of it. Because the moment you let up on it, it's just going to come roaring back, and there's going to be a whole new mess for you to tackle. So now if you've gone through steps 1 through 5 and you still are not able to work on paying down your debt, you're going to have to make more money, bro. I'm sorry. It's going to have to happen. You need to increase your income so that you can pay down your debts quicker. This method only works if you have the extra resources to do so. And so if you need some ideas or thoughts on how to do that, I have some resources that you can check out. Totally free for you guys, to help you guys out, to help you get back on your feet, to get debt out of the way, to live a more free, stress-free, wonderful life. So there's a few quick, pretty surefire ways to increase your income. And one of them is going to be simply to ask your boss for a raise. That's a pretty easy thing to do. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and it's just simple, done, boom. If he says yes, great. If they say no, that's fine too. You can just keep on working and ask again a few more months later. So that's that one quick method. The other one is going to be to pick up a side hustle. I absolutely love side hustles. They're fantastic, and they can really provide a huge boost of cash when you need it. So I talked about this before, and I'm going to link that right above here, right above my head somewhere, probably on that side over there, to that video, so you can see the side hustles that I've done that I recommend that really help out to get some extra cash coming in when you need it. The side hustle that I'm most fond of is going to be my insurance side hustle, and that produces me a pretty decent $500 to $1,000 per hour of me doing it, which is freaking massive. That's huge. That is incredible. And so I do that whenever I can. I can't do it all the time, and it can be a little sporadic, but when it goes well, when I have clients coming in that need help, I can help them out, and I get a decent commission for being able to assist them. Okay, so on to the final step here, and that is going to be to kill debt. Okay, so if you've gone through all these steps, you have everything that you need to absolutely destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I had to do that again. I had to just get it in there. Some of you guys are missing it. Actually, a lot of you guys are missing it, so I'm just reminding you gently. But seriously, if you have gone through all these steps, you have exactly what it takes to obliterate your debt. But one thing I have to say here is a little disclaimer. This is all for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. Entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer. Boop. Done. So one little thing I need to say here, though, is that if you have more than $10 of debt, odds are it's not going to get paid off today. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a little while for you to address all of that and get it figured out. And in all seriousness, it could take months or even years for you to pay it all off. But I guarantee you this, if you make the effort to pay more than what the minimum payments are every month, consistently, as much as you can, starting with the debts that have the highest interest rate and moving down to the ones that have lower interest rates, if you do this, you will pay your debts off quicker, you will pay less money in interest, and your family will be able to breathe more easily, knowing all this debt isn't hanging over your head. So please, for yourself, for your family, and for me too, please do this. Okay, guys? Okay, great. So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today. I hope I was able to help you guys out, because dealing with debt can be a very scary thing, and I just don't want you guys to have to do that anymore, so I made this video to help you out. So if you have any questions about this, if you have any ideas you want to run by me, anything at all you want to talk about, comment below. I will answer every single comment, and I will do it in a very weird, quirky way that only Nate can do. With that said, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.